All right, welcome to the 95.5 WTVY Couch Concert Series, brought to you by the good folks at Which Dothan, Highway 84 West in the Public Shopping Center, where every Tuesday in the month of March, you get a free order of fries with any sandwich or salad. Of course, I go by the Which at least 5 times a week for a salad. It's the only place I can get all the vegetables I need. The commercial they have says the fries are perfectly salted, but I want to let you know that I got an order earlier this week and it was not perfectly salted. So they gave me a salt packet and I put it on and they were perfectly salted then. So our guest this week is Jerome Jackson. You may know him from the 95.5 WTVY, Your Country Morning Show with Jerome in D.C. And next week, Romy, you will make your first appearance doing your world-famous Elvis tribute act at the Rattlesnake Rodeo in Opp. Are you nervous?
Well, just slightly because this is like 13 months since I have done any shows, and so I'm pretty sure I'm out of practice a little bit, and it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to give it all.
Yeah, so you haven't. I guess COVID is the reason that you, or either that, or you haven't booked any shows because you're just not that good.
No, we had a lot of bookings. We have 4 shows a year we do in Dothan. We had to cancel all those because of the the limit of the people that can come in. I think it was at 50% or something like that originally. And then we had other bookings that I had a Mobile gig to do, several others. Local and out of the well, I don't know if we had any out of state ones, but yeah, we had a lot that were just canceled, and because all the festivals quit, and we just couldn't do anything. So that's the reason.
Now, when you step, away from the mic for that long, the singing mic, do you lose the muscle? Do you forget some of the words? Do you because you got to keep that going. Like if you didn't go to the gym for a year, which something tells me you might have
avoided.
No, I'm just saying, it's a muscle like anything else. How do you keep those songs going without forgetting the words? You've been practicing in your car?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of that in the car. I mean, I'll listen to some CDs, and one of the things is that helps me with keeping the voice as good as I can get it is listening to Luciano Pavarotti and singing along with him. That is really tough because he's a tenor and a world famous tenor. And one of my favorite songs by him is Nessun Dorma or something like that. Nessun Dorma. And I love singing with that one. Even though I don't know the words, I kind of mumble them through. And till I get to the end, I know the last few. And it is a powerful song. And it helps me with the upper end and the power notes and keeping in shape that way. That's about, and doing it correctly. I had a vocal coach that I used back in the early 80s, took a few lessons from him, and a guy that I worked with that taught voice. He showed me, what I was doing wrong and to not, kill my voice and strain it at the end of the night.
You haven't been to a voice coach in 40 years.
Yes. Didn't need it.
Well, we're in for a treat. Will you sing a little Pavarotti for us a little bit just to kind of warm things up?
I don't know. I haven't warmed up with Pavarotti. One of the songs, the one I mentioned, is Nessun Dorma. And it starts off with, I probably won't get it in the right key to begin with, but
none of us will know the difference.
He'll start off, but if you go too high, it's going to really kill you. It goes, Nessun Dorma, Nessun Dorma, and then the rest of it, yeah, that's where I lose it because I can't remember the words.
Will you be incorporating any Pavarotti into your show next week at the Rattlesnake Rodeo?
No, I will not. No.
Because those op people, they love
I know. He's big and op, that's for sure, yeah.
Well, it's in their name. Op loves opera.
Yes.
All right, let's kick off tonight, and then I want to kind of give everybody a little background on how you came to love Elvis so much. So what's the first song you're going to play for us tonight?
The first song is going to be "Don't Be Cruel." It's one of the easier songs because it's only 3 chords.
I've never
And,
heard it. How does it go?
oh, no, you have to. it's it's like boom, boom, ba boom, ba boom. But I'm not going to play all that. But I'll just drum it, and I'm going to try to pick it a little soft because I'm not sure how it's sounding on your end out there. So I'm using just one mic here.
All right. Well, let me introduce you proper.
All right, go ahead.
Here comes Jerome Jackson on the Couch Concert Series. Take it away.
Let me get it in the right key here, and then we'll go. Well, you know I can be found sitting home all alone. If you can't come around, at the least please telephone. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. Baby, if I made you mad for something that I might have said, please just forget in the past. The future looks bright ahead. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. I don't want no other love. Baby, it's just you I'm thinking of. Don't stop thinking of me. Don't make me feel this way. Come on over here and love me. You know that I want you to stay. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. Why should we be apart? I really love you, baby. Caress my heart. Let's walk up to the preacher and let us say I do. And then you know you have me, and I know that I'll have you. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. I don't want no other love. Baby, it's just you I'm thinking of. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. I don't want no other love. Baby, it's just you I'm thinking of.
Now, we did a 95.5 WTVY Web Extra where you and I sat down and kind of talked about how you were introduced to Elvis. But tell us, do you remember your first memory of sitting in the car and hearing on the radio this voice and going, "What is that?" Tell me how that got into your blood and you became a lifelong fan.
Well, it was when I was young, about 7, 8 years old. I heard a song. We were living in Columbus, Georgia, and I remember hearing the song "In the Ghetto," and I remember "Kentucky Rain," "Don't Cry Daddy." All those came out at about the same time period. When I heard that, it was like it kind of struck me, and it struck a chord somewhere. I don't know why, but the voice. I didn't know anything about him. Didn't know what he looked like. And then later on, as I kept listening and hearing him on the radio, my mom bought me one of these movie magazines that had a little spread in there of him from his early, from a child to the present. And I finally got to see what he looked like. And then about that same year, it was 1968. The 68 comeback special was on. Well, I remember watching that with my mom on a very small black and white TV in the living room. I can't remember who else was there, but it seemed like it was just us two. But we watched that show, and I remember him in the round doing the performance with the two guitars and the guy, his drummer DJ Fontana, using just the back of a guitar case with drumsticks. And it was the very first Unplugged that became popular on MTV years later. But that's my very first memories, and then I was kind of I was hooked and started buying records and just collecting and finding out more about him.
Did your parent? I know a lot of parents were probably at that time telling their kids, "Oh, that rock and roll! Don't listen to that rock and roll." Your
No,
parents were open to you liking Elvis and listening to
yeah,
Elvis.
because he wasn't that from the '50s, that rock and roll rebel that he had, Elvis the Pelvis, and all the controversy that went along with it. By the time the late '60s and early '70s came along, it was pretty normal, and they had nothing. I think they were fans too, but nothing like I was as far as the collecting and constantly listening to him and wanting to buy more and wanting to see more. But they had no problem with him. Now, later on, when I started going to see him in concert, and so, there were a couple of those shows that were on a school night. So I had to ask my mom for permission to go when we got tickets. And I went with some fan club members that I was in at the time. And I remember she said, yeah, it's okay with me if you go ask your dad. Well, go to ask my dad. He said, go ask your mom. Well, my dad was a little, I think at that time he was a little jealous because I was paying more attention to Elvis than him, and was idolizing Elvis and not my dad. And I could tell, and I could tell by his actions at that time, but he mellowed over the years and was okay. Was real cool with it. And he's been to every one of my shows up until, he passed away last October. But my dad was one of my biggest promoters and biggest fans, as well as my mom too.
When you were a kid, did you put on little concerts for your family in the living room?
No, I never did that. And there was nobody musical in the family really that played an instrument, and I didn't at the time. I pretended to, like today, I pretend to play. But I didn't do that. And I was really shy about doing it in front of anybody until I joined a local fan club that started. And it was all women. There was about 5 or 6 of them. There's one other, maybe 2 other guys that hardly ever came to the meetings that we had every Saturday. And
More women for you then,
yeah,
right?
yes, yeah. And I just said one day, while going to one of these meetings, I said, I can sing like Elvis. And they said, oh, well, show us. Well, I was really embarrassed too, and finally I did I remember we did it over a record of his recording of Big Boss Man, and I had made them all turn around while I sang it, and they were just in awe. It's like I was like 14 or 15 at the time, 15, and it was like I was doing Big Boss Man, can't you hear me when I call? And it was like my voice was the same back then as it is now. And they just they just were, and I started doing it all the time in the fan club. And that's
Did
where
you
it
have the
started.
sideburns when you were 14 too?
Yeah, very skimpy sideburns. I didn't shave properly when I first started shaving. I only shaved once or twice every now and then, got the little fuzz out and the long hairs. And it wasn't until a few years later that they started filling out more. But yeah, I did. I had to kind of use a marker to mark those in, or tape. I remember using black tape one time, and just to make it look. And my hair was blonde, so that was kind of a crazy look anyway. So
Well, Elvis's hair was blonde, wasn't it?
yeah, well, originally it was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
See? So when you were a kid, did you stand in front of the mirror with a hairbrush and practice and sing and all that?
Not really. I didn't. And I hear people that say that they stood in front of the mirror and that did this and that. I never did that really. I just was in my room practicing, putting records on and singing with them, trying to hit the notes that he was hitting, and in some cases very frustrating, because when it comes to the '70s, when his voice was more operatic on some of the big notes. It was like the American Trilogy. It's a tough ending on American Trilogy. I had a hard time doing my way for a long time, and till I figured out what I was doing wrong. And I still have issues with some songs. If I'm really burnt out, I mean, it's hard to do. But yeah, I just kept doing it. And I wasn't one of those natural singers. Where, like you see on Idol, American Idol, or some of those TV shows, these little kids that I'm like, oh my God. When I was that age, I could barely talk, and then they're singing like they're professionals. So it took a lot of work for me to develop my voice.
We're talking to Jerome Jackson from Your Country Morning Show, and the headliner, one of the headliners at next week's Rattlesnake Rodeo in Oppen. There's tickets still available for that. What is our next selection, Jerome?
Well, earlier before we went on on air here, I was trying to remember chords to songs. I wanted to do All Shook Up, but I could not remember one. It's a 3-chord song, and either I can't remember how to play that simple chord because it's been so long. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try Burning Love.
All right. Here we go.
It may be loud, so hang on. Hold on. Here we go. Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising. Higher, higher, it's burning through to my soul. Girl, 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 you gonna set me on fire. My brain is flaming, I don't know which way to go. Cause your kisses lift me higher, like a sweet song of a choir. And you light my morning sky with burning love. Ooh, 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 I feel my temperature rising. Help me, I'm flaming, I must be 109. Burning, burning, burning and nothing can cool me. I just might turn into smoke, but I feel fine. Cause your kisses lift me higher, like a sweet song of a choir. And you light my morning sky with burning love. It's coming closer, the flames are not licking my body. Won't you help me? I feel like I'm slipping away. It's hard to breathe, and my chest is all heaving. Lord Almighty, I'm burning the whole world away. Cause your kisses lift me higher, like a sweet song of a choir. And you light my morning sky with burning love, a burning love. I'm just a hunk of burning love. I'm just a hunk of burning love. I'm just a hunk of burning love. Just a hunk of burning love. I'm just a hunk.
Talking with Jerome Jackson, and now you and I have talked about this before off the air, but I'm a couple of years behind you. I remember it was a hot August day, and me and my family had just left a water park. I was 5 years old, and I remember my mom talking about Elvis dying, and I really had no idea who that was. Tell me how you found out about Elvis and how did that affect you?
I was doing a summer job in Level Plains, and they let us off early that day. So I went home and I went in my bedroom, and like all DJ wannabes do that I've ever talked to, I always played DJ in my room. I set up a record player and I'd play songs and pretend to be on the air.
Oh yeah.
And so I remember I was playing Ronnie Millsap's "It Was Almost Like a Song," and my brother, I had my door shut. My brother came in the doorway, and there's my sister, and my mom was behind him. Jerome, they just said Elvis died, and I looked at him and I said, "You're crazy. There's no way. There's no way." And then when my sister came in and my mom said, "Yeah, they just had it on TV." And I said, "Oh, there may." So I immediately turned the station on. I used to listen to KMX as I was a teenager, and
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Just down the hall, one door down, and Connor Vernon was on the air. He was the morning guy. He was the program director at that time. He was on the air, which was odd. And he came. He was playing an Elvis song. I can't remember which one. He comes on afterwards and he says, "As you, just in case you haven't heard, Elvis Presley just passed away in Memphis at the age of 42." And
man, he was old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, at that time that was considered kind of. But he came on and he played another song, and I just could not believe it. And so I cried harder than I have ever cried. I mean, it was like losing a family member. And a friend of mine that worked at Channel 18, who was a huge fan too, she came by the house that afternoon on her way home. She lived in New Brockton. She came by, and then a couple of the other fan club members came by, and we got together, and they were crying, and it was like, well, they heard, all kinds of rumors that somebody jumped the fence and tried to kill him and stuff like that, and all these rumors that get out. But we thought, well, maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's there's something, because then you only had 3 networks.
Right.
And it was not even the lead. Walter Cronkite was off on vacation that week. And I remember watching CBS News, and Roger Mudd was the fill-in anchor. And,
he just died last week.
Yes. And he came on, the newscast started, and the first story was something else. The second story was something, and it was like the third story in. And I thought, wow, this should have been the story. But it was confirmed, and it was just pretty devastating. And it did have a big effect on my life. The fan club eventually broke up. There were no concerts to go to anymore. But I was fortunate to have been able to go to 3 concerts, and had the 4th one coming up. I had tickets for in Memphis on this last date of the upcoming tour that he was getting ready to leave on that night. So
did they give you a refund? Did you get a refund for those tickets?
They offered that for a long time, and I'm not even sure if it's still available. But originally, you had to turn the ticket in to get the refund, and then they made it to where, if you just present the ticket, show it to them, they can mark it off and give you the money back. I'm sure that's that was back in the 80s and 90s, early 90s. But I'm sure that money is no longer there. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I've still got the ticket,
So over the years, specifically, back in the 80s, there were all these rumors swirling around that Elvis was alive and he had just wanted to get out of the public eye. Did you ever secretly hope he'll pop out and go, "Hey, everybody, I'm here"?
Yeah. I really did. For a long time after it all settled down, there were those rumors that he was just in hiding because he'd had enough of the limelight. But, the other stories are that, he really loved the stage. He loved touring. That was his life. But I did think for a long time there that, he may be coming back. He might, but after so many years, now that he would have been 86 this year or 85, I forgot how old he just turned, 86. It's like, if he's going to come back, he's waited way too long to do it, and he'll be able to perform.
The window has closed on his return.
Yes.
All right, give us another tune, because we're looking forward to the Rattlesnake Rodeo. And if you visit rattlesnakerodeo.com, I believe that's the website.
Yes.
You can get information on and ticket information for next week's performance. The return of Jerome Jackson's Elvis tribute show, and now another tune on the Couch Concert Series.
Let me see if I can remember the chords here, the one I want to do, and I can't. Hang on a second. I had it in my head. I can do Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. I can. I can't even remember the song now. Hang on. Let me try something else here. Just bear with me as I find the chord here. No, that's not it. I got it. Here we go. This one is called "Marie's the Name of His Latest Flame." A very old friend came by today, as he was telling everyone in town of the love that he just found, and Marie's the name of his late. I say I've already messed that up, so that's not even right. And Marie's the name. No, that's not. Marie's the, see, it's been a long time since I played Marie's the name of his latest fling. He talked and talked, and I heard him say that she had the longest, blackest hair, prettiest green eyes anywhere, and Marie's the name of his latest fling. Though I smiled, the tears inside were a-burning. I wished him luck, and then he said goodbye. He was gone, but still his words kept returning. What else was there for me to do but cry? Would you believe that yesterday this girl was in my arms and swore to me she'd be mine eternally, and Marie's the name of his latest flame. Yeah, Marie's the name of his latest flame. Oh, Marie's the name of his latest flame.
So what do you do when you're on stage and you forget a lyric? Do you just keep on going, or you start over, or what?
Yeah, you kind of got to just mumble through it, and sometimes I make something up, make a joke about it after the song is over with. They always get a kick out of that. And but the lyrics I use a lot of. If there's one that I haven't done in a long time, I usually have the lyric sheet there, because Elvis even did that with certain songs occasionally. But I try to be prepared, but I'm a last minute kind of guy. And like for this Rattlesnake Rodeo, I may put together the song list of what I want to do like the night before or the morning of. So that's typical for me. So
how long is a typical Jerome Jackson show?
Normally an hour to an hour and a half. About an hour and a half, I'm out of gas. And so vocally, and if this is supposed to be an outdoor, they've got I think it's an outdoor stage on this, because it's Chanel Lee Stadium, and it may be warm. And in a jumpsuit, I can sweat quite a bit. So it'll be I'll be ready. I'll be done after an hour or so.
I'm actually going to miss the pandemic, because you didn't do any shows for the last year. Mm-hmm. So we got to see Elvis kind of morph into Duck Dynasty. You kind of let yourself.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
And then now you got to kind of keep it trimmed up again.
Yeah, and keep the gray out of it. I wear a cap a lot. It just looks funny, because it's half black, half gray, and then the beard is totally gray. It's some people like with you. You've got a lot of gray in your beard, but your hair is still.
Hey, this is the style.
I know. But I did let it go for several months, and then shaved it, then grew it back again. And then as the Rattlesnake Rodeo gets closer, I had to shave again. But I actually liked it. If I do wind up retiring maybe this year or something and not do the shows anymore, I think I'll grow it and let it go gray. And it's I like the way it looked, actually. So
just do like me, just give up, whatever.
Yeah, I know. Give up on life, give up.
All right. Well, listen, we have time for one more song. I want to remind everybody to visit rattlesnakerodeo.com. The show is on the 27th, which will be next Saturday at Chanel Lee Stadium in Opp. And the Rattlesnake Rodeo, there's also other great entertainment that will be there, not just Jerome. And, of course, you can catch Jerome in D.C. mornings on 95.5 WTVY. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'll see you Monday, and play us out with a song, Romy.
Right. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine. When they said you was high class, well, that was just a lie. When they said you was high class, well, that was just a lie. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine. The short version. I know you thought, well, there was more, huh? There was more. How about this one here? This is one that Bob Dylan wrote that Elvis recorded. It's called Tomorrow's a Long Time. If today was not an endless highway, if tonight was not an endless trail, if tomorrow wasn't such a long time, then lonesome would mean nothing to me at all. Yes, and only if my own true love was waiting, if I could hear her heart softly pound, for only if she was lying by me, then I'd lie in my bed once again. Mm-hmm.
Jerome, it's always a pleasure to hear you sing. I love it. I'm such a fan of you. You've made me a fan of Elvis.
Oh, well, good.
And we will see you next week at the Rattlesnake Rodeo, and I'll see you next week here at work, and you have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining us on the Couch Concert Series, and thank you to Which Witch for bringing it to you. Good night, everybody.